What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and today I'm going to tell you guys what I would pick if I could only choose 3 calibers for the rest of my life. We as gun people, and myself included big time, sometimes we spread ourselves a little far as ammo goes, and what I mean by that is I don't even know how many calibers I own at this point. It's probably north of 15, I don't know exactly, but yeah, I have quite a few calibers, and I know I'm not the only one that has a lot of calibers, but I also know there's people that only keep a few, and they're the practical ones, we're not. But I wanted to tell you guys what my 3 calibers would be if I could only pick 3 for the rest of my life. Now that's not what I want to happen, but this is just a conversation, so let's get into it. So when we're talking the calibers, we got to think what we're going to use them for, because now we have to only have 3 to cover every basis we could ever need. And I'll kind of give like a couple examples of or scenarios, I guess. So let's say the scenario is just right now. You could only pick 3 for the rest of your life. I'm going to go caliber by caliber. I'm not going to say them all at once, but you should comment down below what your guess is of mine, or comment down below with what 3 you would pick. So for the first caliber, I'm going to go with, and I think my choices are all pretty simple choices. I would have to go with 9mm for my first caliber. And the reason why I'd go 9mm is, one, it's my favorite carry gun caliber. Like, I don't carry anything else. I do carry my 380 occasionally when I'm running, or if I'm carrying in places that I'm not supposed to be carrying because it's much smaller. But yeah, 9mm would have to be my go-to carry round. And we're not talking guns. You can have whatever gun chambered in that caliber, so we're just talking the caliber. This is my Shadow Systems. I've had this gun for years. This one's chambered, so that's why it's pointed this way. It's a safe direction. But this is basically a Glock 19 size pistol. I like Glocks too. I own a few, but I just really like Shadow Systems out of the box a little bit more. So I've had this gun forever. It's probably at like 11,000 rounds right now. And yeah, if I could just pick one caliber, well, one of the calibers would be the 9mm, because that's all I really carry. I love carrying 9mm. It's a practical round. It's good stopping power with today's ammo choices, good capacity. You can choose a lightweight option, like my other carry option is a Glock 43 Langdon Tactical Edition. So it's much smaller than this one, holds 8 rounds, so limited capacity, but still effective. And yeah, I just think 9mm makes a great carry gun choice for carry caliber. And yeah, there's a lot of good options for it, a lot of good handguns, and almost every handgun nowadays is made in 9mm. So yeah, for the first caliber, it'd have to be 9mm, and we're not even just talking a carry gun, right? Let's say, well, duty-wise, you could go bigger 9mm, because this makes a much better duty gun, or a battle belt gun, if you will, because it's a longer barrel, longer sight radius. Well, unless you're running an RMR, but you'll get a little bit more velocity out of a longer barrel. And yeah, the Glock 34 would make a great duty gun, and then my Shadow Systems here would make a great concealed carry gun. And then let's say you want to go quiet, you can do a quiet setup. And if you're smart, you'll have it all take the same magazine. Like, this takes the same mag, this takes the same mag, and this takes the same mag. This is a Silenceco Maxim 9, but this is a suppressed pistol. So you, again, if you're just choosing one caliber, you can have multiple guns to kind of maximize its potential. So super quiet setup, super effective duty setup, and then a good concealed carry setup. And then you could take it a step further and go even bigger. So you could do like a PCC setup, or I guess subgun setup. It's not a carbine, but suppressed MP5. This would make a great self-defense setup. Good for the wife, good for the girlfriend. Just good backpack gun. We just did a video on bag guns, and the MP5 is a good bag gun. Nobody showed me a full-size MP5 in that, but yeah, here's my full-size MP5. And yeah, this would make a really good bag gun, or a little CQB gun, because you can keep it small, collapsing stock, take the suppressor off, and now you have a pretty small bag gun. And then we can go even smaller. But like, let's say you had the Glocks as your handgun, you could choose a 9mm that takes Glock mags. I just don't have one. I don't have a subgun setup that takes Glock mags, other than my Chris Factor, but that one's 45. But yeah, 9mm would make a great choice for all of these options. Basically a personal defense weapon and a concealed carry weapon, because this would be perfectly fine for home defense or building clearing, whatever you might need. Zombie apocalypse, I think 9mm would make a great choice, and it's pretty soft shooting. You can teach almost anyone on it. And we're gonna go with availability. It's probably the most available handgun round out there. So yeah, 9mm would have to for sure be on the list for me, because it's so practical and it's very quiet. Like, you can get, let me put this on this side. You can get 9mm pretty quiet. It's gonna be comparable to 300 Blackout, and we'll see if 300 Blackout's on my list. But yeah, you can get in a rifle setup very comparable to 300 Blackout sound, and within close range, I mean, it's going to be about as effective. I haven't watched Grantham's video yet on the 300 Blackout. Probably going to watch that tonight, because people were talking about it, and I like watching his content, and I like 300 Blackout, so I'm curious what he has to say. But yeah, 9mm in a subgun platform could basically replace 300 blackout. So yeah, I think it's a very practical setup. And again, you get all these options: suppress pistol. Doesn't have to be a Maxim. You could suppress a Glock, but yeah, you have a lot of options, a lot of good options for 9mm. So that would be the first caliber. Now, what would the second caliber be? I'm trying to think which one I want to talk about first. We will go with the big boy. Let me grab it. All right. Second gun, or second caliber, would have to be 12 gauge. And kind of in the line of, practical, it's the most common shotgun ammo out there. So I think 12 gauge would be the way to go. You can do reduced recoil shells. It's a very versatile round too, because you have birdshot, you have buckshot, you have slugs, you have different barrel lengths. So I think this is like a 20-inch barrel to Remington 870, but you can go 20-inch barrel, and then you can go 6.5-inch barrel, and you could have a little PDW 12 gauge. So yeah, this is my Cerebro Super Shorty. I've shown this on the channel a few times. Probably not going to be as easy to get something like this, but there are options. You could buy the TAC 14, which is a 14-inch barrel, and I've seen people store those in bags. So you can get a small 12 gauge option, and yeah, there's a lot of different shells out there. There's so many shells out there, so a good variety of options. And yeah, 12 gauge you can hunt with. It is great for home defense because it's so devastating. Obviously a lot more devastating than 9mm. I mean, carry wise, this thing, I mean, this is nice because it's all metal, but it doesn't weigh a lot. So 12 gauge has been around for a long time. I don't even know when 12 gauge was invented, but I know there's the black powder 12 gauge cartridges. So, I mean, it's well over 100 years, and yeah, it's pretty effective. Birds, people hunt deer with slugs, as far as I've been told. I haven't ever done that, so I'm not sure, but honestly, iron sights would be a good option. And this one is an improved cylinder barrel, so you could basically shoot almost anything out of it. Again, birdshot, buckshot, slugs, it doesn't care. No steel shot through something like this, but yeah, you can do some good hunting with it and some devastating home defense with it. So I think 12 gauge would make another great choice. You're not going to be able to carry as much rounds with it, but it's just one of those guns. Every survival video game growing up had it, like Resident Evil. I played all the Resident Evils when I was younger, and you basically had 9mm and you had 12 gauge, and those were your main ones. I think there were some rifle calibers, but it was mainly stuff like this. So very iconic round, and I think that would make a great second choice. So what is the third and final round? All right, guys, so for the final caliber, it would have to be 5.56. And obviously, these are all very common calibers, and there's a reason why I'm choosing them, because they're all very common calibers. I would say whether it's a panic, whether it's the end of the world, whatever it may be, I think those are the three main calibers that are going to be the easiest to find. And I'm not saying you're not going to find other calibers, but again, we're going off of if I could only pick 3. I would love to pick 10, but that's just not realistic. Even 3 would be a stretch. Like, imagine if you had to carry 9mm, 5.56, and a 12 gauge, like wherever you might be moving to or going to, it would be hard to carry 3 calibers on you. Then you might have to narrow it down to just a rifle and a pistol, or a shotgun and a pistol. So think about it from that. If you had to narrow it down, it's got to be as practical as can be. So my third and final choice, probably my first choice, but pistols probably would have to go first. Third and final choice has to be 5.56, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this gun. This is a Sig Virtus in 5.56. I just wanted to show you guys a couple options. I have another 5.56 here I'm going to show you. But for 5.56, it's also a proven round, widely used. I mean, every country pretty much uses 5.56 now. Variety of barrel lengths, variety of ammo nowadays. You have just your full metal jackets, you have the mild steel penetrator rounds, so a little bit better for shooting through barriers or light stuff. I'm talking about the green tip ammo. You have a variety of hollow points and even different grain weights in hollow points. You have like 77 grain, and I know people hunt with the 77 grain 5.56 too. I did shoot a javelina last year with a 5.56, and yeah, I mean, it was a 50-pound pig, got 23 pounds of meat out of it, so it was pretty good. Tried to get one this year, I just didn't get a shot on one. So yeah, 5.56, I know people use it for hunting a variety of stuff. Probably wouldn't want to take it up against a bear or anything, but with enough ammo, you probably could. But yeah, we're just talking the round itself. I think it would be pretty effective for most hunting. But yeah, I mean, just in an everyday scenario, right? Like right now, it would be a good caliber overall because you can use it in a home defense setup like this. This is an 11-inch barrel. We have it suppressed. You can take the suppressor off if you want. It is relatively bag capable. So with the right barrel, right bag, like this is, again, 11.5 with a folding stock, I could fit this in a bag, no problem. And yeah, I mean, you get good capacity. It's not too heavy. I think another option people would choose would be 308 because then you have the versatility of, you know, you can keep 308 small enough to use inside a building, and push the distance? Yes, you can, but chances are you're not going to be needing the distance as much as you might think, or at least in my opinion. Like, I live in the city, maybe if you live out in the middle of nowhere, sure, but for me, I still think 5.56 is the most practical. Also, over 300 blackout. I know people would be like, well, 300 blackout could replace the 9mm sub gun in this. Yeah, it could for close range stuff, but it's not going to replace the pistol, and it's going to require a lot more maintenance. Like, I own a bunch of 300 blackouts. They require a lot more maintenance than a 5.56. Like, I can neglect a 5.56 much longer than those. Plus, again, we're talking ammo availability. 5.56 is going to be more readily available. But I would love to carry a 300 blackout too, which is not viable. If we're talking just, guns wise, then you carry an AR and have two different uppers for it. That's not the problem. But we're just talking 3 calibers. I'd say 9, 12 gauge, and 5.56 are good enough, and they're different enough that covers basically every basis you can think of for the most part. And then as far as, like, let's say you had to do some distance shooting, I did bring another one out that could kind of cover that base. So let me grab that. So you can go with something like this, an 18-inch DMR chambered in 5.56. That would be, again, just falls under that category. And I have not shot 5.56 at crazy distances, but I know some people have shot 1,000 yards with 5.56. I am not that skilled of a shooter yet, but now that I have an off-road vehicle, I want to go push this thing out. So this is an LWRC M6A3 DMR. So it's an 18-inch piston-driven DMR, and yeah, it's a pretty sick setup. I have a Burris XTR2 on here. It's a 5-25 by 50. So it's a little overkill, but it matched the gun, and that's why I bought it. So yeah, it looks pretty sick. But yeah, I want to get some practice shooting this out to distance. And I think, I mean, I'm not a long range shooter, but I bet you I could probably get pretty comfortable shooting this out to like 600-700 yards. Yeah, I think it'd be doable with the right ammo. And that's the other thing, is choosing the right ammo for whatever purpose. But yeah, like I said, 5.56 is pretty versatile. You have a few different rounds that you could pick for it. So something like this, I would assume like 77 grain OTMs, so open tip match. It's like a hollow point. I know the military uses a variety of different rounds, but I think they use the Sierra Match King 77 grain. And that would work in this and in a short range gun, because these are both 1-in-7 twist barrels, so they're meant to stabilize that heavier round. So yeah, you could have the close range 5.56, the long range 5.56, the somewhat close range 12 gauge, and not that 12 gauge is far, but I mean, you could accurately shoot with this out to probably 100 yards with slugs. And then buckshot, you can still push out to a little bit of distance. So yeah, I mean, you have basically every range covered with these 3 different calibers. And then again, we're just talking if you narrowed it down to 3 calibers, not 3 guns, because obviously this is way more than 3 guns. But you can really maximize the potential of those 3 rounds if you basically built every setup in those 3 rounds, right? Like, you have your concealed carry handgun all the way up to your subgun. You could even do a 16-inch PCC. You could do all the way down to like an 8-inch 5.56. And then I actually have a 24-inch 5.56 that I'll be buying here soon. So, I mean, you can maximize 5.56 out of stuff. And then 12 gauge, I mean, I've never seen anything shorter than a 6.5-inch 12 gauge, but I know you can go all the way up to a 30-inch 12 gauge. So every one of those rounds has a lot of potential. It just depends on what you want to do with it. So that is my 3 that I would have to pick if I could only choose 3 calibers. Again, I would love to choose every caliber, but that would just have to be what I pick. So is my choice similar to what you would have chosen? Comment down below. And then before I let you guys go, I just want to say I am running a deal on my website till the end of June, so we're almost there. If you buy my Patch Rat patch, I will give you a Patch Rat sticker and a Brass Goblin sticker for free. It ends up being like 15 bucks after shipping, so 15 bucks will get you those. If you buy any of my shirts, which I know I'm limited on shirts, I'll get more here soon, I will give you a Mud Gunner patch. And then I also just added these on the website yesterday. So I'm selling these patches for $5, and then the Patch Rat patch is $10. So yeah, go check out my website. It's atroxco.com. And yeah, I've been getting orders out within 1 business day. So if you order on like Friday, it might go out Monday, but I've been getting them out pretty quickly. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for my next video.